3 in a row at 45 years old, and now the man is telling you he's walking away. Denny Hamlin just did something that hasn't been done in NASCAR in over 4 decades, and he did it while planning his exit. But here's the thing, nobody wants to say out loud, what if Denny Hamlin is the best driver in NASCAR right now? Not historically, right now, today. And if that's true, how does he walk away? Sunday at Pocono Raceway, Hamlin closed out a sweep of the tricky triangle in dominant fashion. His 3rd consecutive Cup Series victory following wins at Nashville and Michigan. That's 64 career wins, 9th all-time, sole possession. He just passed Kyle Busch, his former teammate, who passed away last month at just 41 years old. It's also his 4th points-paying win of 2025, not counting the All-Star race. Toyota has now won 10 of 16 races this season. Joe Gibbs Racing accounts for 5 of those alone. Tyler Reddick, who drives for Hamlin's own co-owned team, 23XI Racing, crossed the line 2nd. Points lead over Hamlin, now just 19. To understand why this run is so remarkable, you have to understand what Hamlin was carrying into this season. He lost the championship in last November's finale. Then in December, he lost his father in a house fire. He came into 2025 uncertain whether he even wanted to fulfill this 2-year extension through 2027, the deal he himself agreed to and called his last. And then he went out and became the hottest driver in the sport. Pocono has a particular gravity for Hamlin. His very first Cup win came on this very track nearly 20 years ago to the day, June 11, 2006. He swept Pocono that year. He's now won 8 times here, or 9 if you count the 2022 victory NASCAR stripped from him post-race for a failed inspection. Hamlin made sure to mention that on Sunday. The quote was sharp. "They aren't getting that checkered flag back." That's a man who remembers everything. The 3 straight wins tie a list that reads like a Hall of Fame induction speech. Richard Petty, Bobby Allison, Darrell Waltrip, all legends, all enshrined. And now Denny Hamlin's name sits next to theirs on that list. Here's where this gets complicated and worth talking about seriously. Hamlin keeps saying 2027 is the end. JGR co-owner Heather Gibbs is saying the right things publicly, respecting his decision, acknowledging his commitment outside of racing. But read between the lines, and what she's actually saying is, we're watching and we're not closing that door. The strategic reality is this: Hamlin is not fading, he's accelerating. 4 wins in 16 races, a pit crew she called flawless, a car setup that he says gives him a genuine shot every single weekend. This is not a victory lap. This is a peak. Now layer in the championship math. He trails Reddick by just 19 points. Reddick drives for 23XI, the team Hamlin co-owns with Michael Jordan. So Hamlin is essentially chasing his own investment down in the standings. That's a weird and genuinely unprecedented dynamic in this sport. If Hamlin takes the points lead, he's racing against a driver who answers to him off the track. If Reddick pulls away, Hamlin watches his driver win the title he spent a career chasing. There's also the Christopher Bell subplot. Bell finished 26th after leading late on a fuel gamble, all while driving with a broken wrist following the hardest measured crash of NASCAR's next-gen era, which happened just a week ago at Michigan. The fact that Bell was even on the track, let alone leading laps, tells you something about the culture inside JGR. But his fuel bet didn't pay off, and he now heads into back-to-back road courses, San Diego and Sonoma, where shifting is constant and his wrist is a genuine liability. The risk for Hamlin isn't performance. It's the idea that winning this much this late creates impossible expectations. If he comes back in 2028 and wins 3 races, that's a good year for most drivers. For him after this run, that looks like a decline. NASCAR fans are watching 2 things collide right now: the retirement narrative and the real-time performance. Every checkered flag Hamlin takes this season chips away at the idea that 2027 is really the end. Social media has been split in a way that's actually interesting. One camp says, let the man go out on his terms, respect the decision, don't put pressure on him to keep going. The other camp, louder and honestly more compelling, points to the all-time wins list and says he's at 64, Richard Petty is at 200, but Jeff Gordon retired at 93, Tony Stewart at 49. Hamlin at 64 puts him inside the top 10. If he continues at his current pace through 2027, he could realistically push towards 75 or 80 wins. At that point, you're talking about a legacy argument that becomes impossible to ignore. Tyler Reddick's quote after the race was honest to a fault. He said if it wasn't Hamlin who won, second place would have felt like a solid day. It didn't. That's the kind of respect you hear in a driver's voice when they know they got outworked by someone operating on a different level. Best case, Hamlin wins the championship in 2026 or 2027, the one thing missing from an otherwise stacked resume, and walks away with a title that has eluded him his entire career. He retires clean with the win total, the legacy argument locked in, and the storybook ending. 23XI Racing continues to grow, and Hamlin builds the team side of his career the way he's built everything else, deliberately and on his own terms. Worst case, the retirement narrative becomes a distraction. The pressure to reconsider mounts every week he wins, eroding the mental clarity that's clearly been driving his performance. He makes a decision to return or not to return based on external noise rather than what he actually wants. And then the final chapter of his career gets defined not by what he did on the track, but by the conversation around what he should have done. Denny Hamlin is 3 wins into a stretch that should not be possible for a 45-year-old driver in the most physically demanding motorsport in America. And he's doing it while planning his goodbye. So here's the real question, and we want to hear from you in the comments. Does Denny Hamlin owe it to himself to keep racing past 2027? Or does leaving on top right now while he's winning 3 in a row actually make him the smartest man in the sport? Drop your take below. This is one of those debates that's going to look very different by the time December rolls around. And if this is the kind of coverage you want to see every week, straight analysis, no filler, you already know what to do.